This video will deal with a deceptively simple question. What is a chair? One view on this topic is the functionalist view. A chair is defined by its function. A chair is what it does. So if chairs are for sitting, then an object that is fulfilling the function of allowing you to sit is a chair. I want you to consider the following examples that you would be committed to. If those examples didn't feel intuitive, it's probably because function isn't enough. Just because something gets the job done and we can sit on it doesn't seem enough for us to be able to define that thing as a chair. Would you state that the following objects that are being sat on are chairs? Is intention and design important when we're trying to define chairs? So let's take a look at intentions next. An intentionalist might say that chairs are defined by their intended purpose. It is a chair if it was made to be a chair. This view is completely mind dependent. Under this view, you might have to say that chairs don't exist if human minds don't exist. So imagine if all the humans got wiped off the planet and all the chairs we've ever invented stayed behind. Would they not be chairs anymore because there was no function to them? There's no intender. There's no way to know what the purpose was. We need to question whose intention matters, the original intender or the current intender. So a crate might have been used to hold milk, but now a new person who flipped it over and sits on it every day is intending for it to be their sitting area, their chair. So is it not a chair because the original intender didn't intend it to be so? Another thing to keep in mind is that intentions change over time. Let's say you had an old tire and some rope and wanted to make your kid a swing. So you hang the swing tire from the tree. Someone asks you the next day on the phone what your kid's doing, and you say they're swinging on the tree. But if you think that only original intention matters, then you can't refer to the tire as a swing because the tire was not intended to be a swing. It was intended to be part of a car. So to be technically correct, you would have to say, my child is engaging with post-automotive debris. We don't really care about intended purpose for a lot of things in the world. If you have a bracelet made out of recycled bottles, you are going to refer to that piece of jewelry now as a bracelet. It was not ever intended to be a bracelet because it was intended to be a plastic bottle to drink from. But you gave it a new intention. Function isn't enough. and neither is intention. Intention felt probably most intuitive, but it was still too fuzzy and vague and arbitrary. Another interesting view on this would be a mereological nihilist's view. This kind of person would say that there are no chairs. No chairs exist. There's just tiny quarks, electrons, and particles. People who take this view do know that there are things around us that look like chairs and are arranged chair-wise that we can sit on. So they're not saying that the thing in front of you that you can see and experience doesn't exist. They're just saying that there is no one thing in the world called chair, that it boils down to simples, parts, particles that came together in a certain way, and we are referring to that thing conveniently as a chair. What if we simply bite the bullet and say, chairs are what we socially agreed upon? We as a society have decided that these kinds of objects are chairs. These other kinds of objects are not chairs. Floors aren't chairs, beds aren't chairs, cushions aren't chairs, because that's not what we socially agreed upon in our society. But if you move to another society and another culture, they might say that what you just said is completely false, that cushions on the floors are chairs, and sitting on the floor is like sitting on a chair. So we run into the same issue. There is no universal agreement on what a chair is. If you can't define a chair, what hope is there that you'll ever be able to answer the more serious questions of life, like, what is the meaning of this all? Do you think chairs exist, or do you think it's just particles and the rest is just an issue of language? Do you think it's a social construct? Do you think function matters or intention matters? What are the boundaries? What are the rules? And most importantly, why is this so difficult?